Welcome back to the network. We're back at the restoration facilities at the Air Zoo in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I trust you found the first episode filled with character, culture, and a wonderful end product. So we have much more to share with you, so let's get right back at it. Restoration done right.
I'm up on the top of the plane at this point, on the wing actually, or a part of the wing, and I'm here with Bob and Dan, and I saw them in the cockpit actually, and man, it looks really good down there. I'm gonna put some pictures in there, but what are you guys, Bob, starting with you, what are you guys working on today?
Well, what we're doing is we went ahead and we had to custom build 50 cal machine guns, and we didn't have the guns when they showed up. And so the plane showed up, these slots were missing, and so we had to go ahead and fabricate the guns, and we're doing a test fit right now to make sure that we can level these out with the airframe itself. Eventually when the engine comes on, we'll stick the barrels on to go, and they actually extend out over the barrels. Some of the more intricate parts that we didn't have that we needed to fabricate were these handles right here, these silver handles. There were no drawings for those, and so my son over here, Dan.
Hey, that's pretty cool. You didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
He said you would do all the talking, but I
He's
didn't
the
realize
brains of the operation.
Oh my gosh, we got a father-son operation here. This is a first on the. That's great. Very good. Okay, back to it. He came up with the handles.
Yeah. So he went ahead and took a 3D scanner, and we went ahead and we scanned a set of handles. He did actually, and then he went home and he printed them all out for us out of 3D, so that we could get the exact style, because we didn't have drawings to actually fabricate anything like this. And so then as we were doing that, we realized that there was these round counters in here. We didn't have them either, and we didn't have good drawings for them, so he went ahead and 3D printed and scanned those and made them so they're actually functional. Then you can rotate them and actually change the numbers in the whole 9 yards. And so he does all of our high-end side of the house 3D printing. There's like a hydraulic pump down in here that is actually functional that he 3D printed. What he does is he takes that scanner, we go to another airframe that might have that component, he takes it, scans it.
Like a LiDAR type scan.
Yep. And so what we're doing right now though is we're getting these tests put in here. It's the first time they've been in the airframe. We had to make sure that they actually hooked up to the aircraft in the appropriate spots, and that we can get them all rigged accordingly, because at some point when the barrels are sticking out here, which we also had to fabricate, they have to rest right on top of that engine when it's up there in some little rings up there.
That little indentation there.
Yep, and so we've got to make sure that all of our alignment is right, and we try to make these a little bit kid-proof, to be honest with you, because we know at the museums they go to, sometimes they have open cockpits and kids can get in there. And so first thing kids want to do is pull on the guns. And so we actually went ahead and we made these so that they will cycle and retract and all that, other than break if a kid jerks on them and they were permanent and stuff. So we try to kid-proof a few things.
And I see that across the board, your team, it's not just about having something that kind of looks okay or may replicate it. More times than not, you've made it functional.
Well, and that's exactly it. And it's kind of like the hydraulic pump, which we can't see down here, but it actually cycles back and forth like it should, even though we probably could have gotten away. And so when he was printing that was one of the things we asked is, hey, make sure this thing actually works. It has a piston and it does all that type of stuff. But you can see in here where we're working on it right now, we just put in the fabric covering over the stick controls for kind of it's actually a fob protection unit there. And but we're trying to get this up to speed. We had a little bit of an issue. We had some over travel on the control stick. Him and I were up here yesterday working on it, and you can see where it actually came too far forward and hit one of our gauges there. And so now we have to pull the whole gauge assembly back out. We're going to have to replace that gauge, and we have since figured out what the issue was on this, and it has to do with the rigging all the way at the other end of the plane. But yeah, so sometimes it's a trial and error thing for us.
And these are all laser printed as well?
Well, this right here, a lot of this is machined out. All of this stuff, the guys back in our machine shop. It's one of them things where you walk in and say, I need one of these, and a day later, if you've seen the barrels, which are sitting over there on that thing, those are all 100% fabricated here, and the machine guys, they speak a whole language I don't even understand. They're so smart.
They speak the language you like.
Oh, you do. I need this,
and it happens.
And they come out with it about a day later. And
so, what do you do with your free time when you're not here? How did you get here? I see Air Force.
Yeah, I'm retired Air Force.
Okay.
Yeah, I was aircraft maintenance for F-16s, A-10s. I taught at the schoolhouse down teaching escape systems from all the airframes that are pretty much still flying.
Okay.
And so I worked that. He was in the Air National Guard, and what did you do, Dan?
What did you do, Dan?
IT
Son?
for.
Now that I know.
Yeah, I was IT basically for the MQ-9 Reapers, the remote.
Okay.
So we made sure that when they moved the joystick in the cockpit that was on the other side of the hallway from us, the plane on the other side of the planet did exactly what they said.
Yeah.
And the video feed made it all the way back to the cockpit.
Okay.
So I did
well,
that.
so you're the guy when the cable goes out at home, you call him?
Yeah, I call him for all my electronic
For
stuff.
all the stuff, say, hey, this
Yeah,
rod is this.
I quit trying to remember that stuff years ago. I give it to him now.
That's really cool. So are you still in service, or are you?
No, I did 9 years of that. At the same time, I was actually doing engineering for my civilian company that I work for.
Okay.
And then 5 years ago for them now, I switched over to their ID department where I do full stack software engineering for them. So I do a lot, a little bit of everything.
All this stuff you're doing here in your spare time on top of all of that. I mean, it's just, I have to tell, everyone I've talked to so far, and the feel I get here, and people are going to be tired of hearing me say this, but you cannot appreciate the environment this year if you're not here.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I can take pictures of this, and people can take pictures of you guys all day long, but there is no way that you can feel what I feel while I watch you folks all put it together in it's just really a wonderful feeling. I mean, you guys are really unique, and you've created something here. When I talked to Troy and we were talking about coming up here, and I bumped into him and he said, we got a different experience going up there at the Air Zoo.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay, what's that mean? Well, no, you got to come up and see it.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Not only across the street there where the static displays and the interactive and the education, but boy, what your team has got going here, it's really fascinating. Y'all should be very proud of what you're doing, and I keep hearing people tell me they're happy and they keep coming back.
Yeah, and that's when I retired out of the Air Force, I went and volunteered with the Red Cross, and I did government operations for them and stuff like that for a while, and did a few other volunteer locations. And this is a completely different animal. You come here, you get into this thing, you got a bunch of old guys that are really smart, that don't have egos, and we all get along, and we all got kind of thick skin.
Oh,
and
you need to have it around here, but it's the right, nobody's speaking to wound you.
No. This is probably the most positive environment that I personally have ever volunteered in, and there is not a single guy here that won't drop what he's doing and come help you out if you need help doing anything.
Yeah.
But we're all going to give each other a hard time in the process.
And I think that brings it together. And
it does.
And while I compliment you, Dan, for all the stuff you're doing, you are, I got to tell you, you're in a special place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're learning from a different perspective, that it may not be all the technology side of things that you bring to it, but working around these gentlemen and ladies in this spirit is going to take you a long way.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've done pretty good, but you've got good supervision over here, so it all works out. But
yeah, so that's what we got going on. It's like I said, we're slowly but surely getting it back together. We need to get the windscreen on. I know you were down talking to Joe a little earlier on getting his windscreen with his bomb sights and all that on there.
Yeah.
And you're right. We waited for weeks while this was in paint, and because everything is all set, ready to go, and then finally it came out of paint. And now it's all hands on deck and final assembly.
And I am one of the things I'm hoping that Troy, we talked about it. If we keep me posted, I'd love to come back up and see it assembled.
Sure.
And see some of the ceremonial aspect of it as you have it assembled. So I'm hoping that we get to come back and visit and not only get this content and the story posted up and let people see what's going on, because I I've come to understand very quickly my challenge is figuring out how to bring the energy that you guys bring
Yeah.
to the everyday experience.
Yeah. There's just good guys here. There really is. You know, we're just two of them, but there is. You can't find a person here you don't want to be around.
Yeah.
And everybody comes here because they want to, not because there's any other reason.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah, it's a good vibe.
Bob, Dan, thank you for taking a few minutes with me and showing me around the cockpit here a little bit. And we'll get some pictures to throw in some of the other stuff here, so we can post that up, because it's it's fascinating. While it looks all, as they would say, steam gauges, literally, you know, and everything. It's this is how the machine worked.
Yeah, I always joke with my buddies in the Air Force still, you know, because I came off the F-16s, the F-15s, the A-10s and stuff like that. And I says, working on this is like working on a 39 Ford tractor.
Exactly.
I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, but it all makes sense.
But it all makes sense.
Yeah, it all makes sense. I mean, you just look at the different stuff there, and you know, the training that they went through, and I see the trim controls and rudders and throttles, and I just love the cockpit. It's basic, but it tells them what they need to know.
It does, and it's not so complicated that you can't understand it, because you know you can get in modern day aircraft there, and it's just a bunch.
Well, if you're used to this and you're going to glass, you know, it feels a little different. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm gonna let you get back to it. Look forward to talking to you some more, and thanks for spending a little time with me.
It's break time in there. You better get in while the brownies are gone.
Yeah. So we're continuing to make our way around this effort here that goes on in the restoration facility about just everything and anything. I made my way to a number of different stops, but I was told I have to come back here and see Nate, because he keeps things organized. So Nate, help me understand, you know, kind of where your role in the success story around here.
Sure. I'm the resident scrounge. You know, like in MASH, you have the scrounge. You know, that's me. That's what I was dubbed. So I look up what people need, what we don't have. I label things and make it so that we have the parts we need, and do the research on what the markings were. And, you know, a lot of this is detective work.
Well, yeah, and I'm going to give credit here. We've got, this is what you're working on.
Yep, this
is this the same markings?
Yeah, this is the SBD-1, and it's nice to have the model handy so we can look at the work that we're doing, and we see all the differences, and we know, well, the model has this wrong, so I need to get my X-Acto blade in there and fix that, and take off the extra light and put in different parts that, you know, they didn't know was there at the time. So it's really interesting. You know, it's a fascinating journey.
Well, and I've found, talking to different folks that are working on it, that you can look at different places and get different pieces of information. Not only just, I've heard several stories about the coloring and the painting, and how that is varied, and what you're trying to focus and make it authentic.
It's fascinating. You know, there's this chevron is willow green, you know, which let's see, it was 13, 14, and 15, which had the willow green. This was technically the second wingman, so he had the half cowl on the bottom. First wingman had the half cowl on the top, and then the section leader had willow green over the whole front of the cowling. You know,
I didn't know that.
Up to there, yeah. I've got a cowling guide somewhere, but I think there's one on the floor.
So that tells who's kind of who when you're flying around and you can't see a face.
Yep. So it's pretty interesting, you know, how they had it colored. And the Marines and the Navy it was the same before the war started.
Okay.
You know, so it's pretty interesting. There's just so much detective work that goes into it.
Well, and I see you do have the open book here.
Yeah.
And, looking at different.
Things today, you know, who is with who, you know, does it get the LSO stripes on the side, you know, and that's, you know, up for debate. So on the port side, which is the left side if you're the pilot over here, you know, there's a picture of one with the LSO stripes. That's the landing signal officer right there. And we've only found one like that, you know, but from the documentation we've read, all of the things that we're doing carrier training pretty much had an LSO stripe or two.
Okay.
You know, so do we want to put one on there? You know, that's for the Navy to decide. They may call up, say, hey, we want LSO stripes on there, or say, don't bother, you know. So until we hear nothing's going to happen. So sometimes it will come down a ways, but you know, we'll get it done. We'll send it out to San Diego, and if the Leathernex want it there, they'll put it in.
They'll put it on.
So you know, they're pretty creative over there too.
So how many years have you been here?
I've been here about 4 years.
Okay.
Yep. And you know, when I started here, it was on the tail end of COVID, and you know, everything here was just unorganized because you had people dropping things, and nothing was labeled too well. So, you know, we were losing hours, and I said, I'm tired of that. You know, I told Greg and Dan, I said, I'm just gonna start organizing stuff. You know, and I've been doing
Here
it
comes a
since.
buyer right now.
That's right. Dave is always here. Sometimes he'll walk away with a ladder that says hardware room ladder.
Only.
Once in a while it comes back. It's usually me bringing it back, but don't tell Dave.
Well, you know, it is, I stumbled in here earlier and it was, and I'm going to get a picture. Obviously, we're kind of focused in one direction. We'll get some pictures of some of your craftsmanship. We talk about, or what I've seen out there is such craftsmanship in a number of different areas, but there's some craftsmanship in making this so they have the tools they need. And
Right.
that's what I think you're really focused on.
Exactly. You know, making it so that it's intuitive and you can see everything. You know, it's why we put those big letters on the rolling toolbars out there so that you can find that 3/8. You know, because none of the guys here have great eyes.
Well, us older
when you have
people.
those, you're right. You know, so someone says, I need a 3/8, and you're trying to see it on that. I said, no, we need to change that. So
Yeah.
I did.
I see all of those are really, I wish my home tools looked that organized.
Yep.
You've inspired me to go
Same.
back and I thought I was doing pretty good, but you've put me to shame in the way you've
Yeah.
got things laid
You
out.
know,
Everybody's
if-
got to put them back, but in general, it looks like it's pretty organized out
Right.
there.
You know, and then, you know, my wife comes and says, well, why isn't it organized here yet? You know, so I need to balance that. I'm getting better about it at home, but it's always easier with other people's stuff. I'm sure you've run into that.
Exactly.
Easier organizing other people's stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
when
what
you
I do
when you
here.
have to do it yourself, it's not as fun.
Right.
And speaking of fun, I have noticed in my travels here today that you don't just spend your time in here.
Right.
I just saw you
I'm all over
15
the
minutes
place.
ago.
I
You were a
help
second
Bill
set
with
of
his-
hands
yeah.
on something, and
With
I don't
the,
know you were strategizing on what you were going to do.
Sure. You know, so you need the different parts, the pieces that fit in, and you needed some grease fittings in there. And, you know, if we don't have it, we'll order it. If we can't order it, we'll replicate it. You know, so we make it work. So,
Well, and I know folks that are going to watch this because I see the same sense of, just as you said, if you don't have it, well, just make it.
Right.
And you've got people that are making, someone showed me the casting for the rudder pedals that someone had, I don't know, maybe it was Greg had done something. He came out and he showed this is what it looked like in the real world.
Right.
And it looked like Swiss cheese.
yeah.
And then there was a casting that was, looked just like the same thing that you had modeled up and made it. And
Right.
that goes on from prop to tail on the plane. As I look at the model there and I look at the air brakes and I see the air brakes that are out there on the floor right now, and those were all manufactured here. You didn't have anything to work with there.
So the entire bottom was rotted away. You know, so anything that we can salvage, we do, because a certain percentage of the plane needs to be original.
Right.
You know, otherwise you're refabricating the whole plane, which is not what we do. We restore.
Right.
You know, so you'll see little dings and dents here, and
But
anytime you
that's
see that,
real.
that's original. Right.
Right.
Right. So-
I think that brings, like you said, it's not just a model of something or whatever that someone has put together out of new parts. You clearly demonstrate, and I noticed just as you talked about, there were the dings and the little things
Right.
on different stuff that brings it to like real world. You know what it was
Right.
really like.
We call it battle damage.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
even though it wasn't in a battle, it's still battle damage.
Right,
You know?
right. So I see that, and again, it's fun to watch different teammates interact and interlock, I would say, in any one activity. I saw it all day long that one of your teammates would say, "Hey, I need this," and he stops what he's doing or she's doing and comes on over, and just you getting around.
It's a great spirit of camaraderie and community here. You know, that's what it's all about. It's a teaching, learning museum.
I'm getting to the point I'm almost at a lack of words because of the environment that goes on here, and folks like yourself, and there's nobody that doesn't come across that they're excited to come back the next day. They see the value that they're adding.
Sure.
And I was talking to, I guess it was Kevin over there in welding, and he helped me with a term that I was really struggling with today. And I said, how do you stay focused for the years to get to an end game?
Right.
And he said, it's not about the focus, it's about having confidence in the process.
And the journey, right. Exactly.
And for me, that's, I mean, I'd like to think I could get on some wrenches. You could probably teach me to do a few things.
I mean,
but
you would
the
pick it up
mindset,
like that because it's all that area of interest, you know? Every time we crack open something, it's like, oh, that's how that works.
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, one of the first things I worked on was the Morse key code, you know? That
I saw the Morse key, yeah.
So we found one on eBay, which, you know, we got and used, but, you know, I'd cleaned out the first one. I got the actions working, you know, so
Right.
we might make a display out of that, which is a lot of the things we do. We'll make displays out of older pieces that didn't go back in if we were able to replace, so.
well, that was the exact, that George was showing me his machine guns.
Right.
And how he's going to make those so your visitors can, and maybe, I don't think they'll ever appreciate, but maybe understand the stages that
Right.
you would go through in that restoration. And
It's-
so
it's gonna be a nice
he made
display.
it, just all those side elements that I think people will, you know, get a chance
Right.
to see and appreciate all
And
those
he's
little
also
pieces.
working on that LSO light.
Right.
Because I said, that's one of the ones, I'll set aside these different projects that I'm interested in.
Right.
And then if somebody's looking for something to do, I said, I've got a project for you right here. You
Right.
know, so that was in between the gun, you know, he needed something else to do. I said, the LSO light is pretty cool. We only had it in this model. The later ones didn't have the same light. So yeah, interesting stuff.
Well, you're clearly. What was your background before you got into this?
Graphic design, teaching.
Okay.
I taught K through 12 and rocketry and summer camps.
Okay.
Super fun camp. Canadensis out on the Poconos. Huge camp. Lots of kids interested in rocketry. So when I applied here I was actually looking for education.
Right.
You know, so a year later, because COVID had hit and everything, I got a call that said, we don't have anything in education, but there's a spot open in restoration. I thought, I could teach, you know, models or work on the real thing. I said, sign me up. So,
Yeah.
super
Oh,
fun.
that's and the stories of how people have landed here. What's interesting is you talked about the rockets. Everyone has a little bit of a kind of a tickle, as the term that comes to mind of aviation or something like
yeah.
that has got them started.
Yeah.
And here's some clearly.
Fascination from those little models you worked on as a kid, and then you come back to it. You know,
Yeah,
that
it's
full
the
circle.
full
and
circle.
then, you know, you're restoring history, and you're becoming part of history as you're working on it. Which
Yeah,
is
how
also-
what you guys are putting out there that'll be there for a long time and really does justice to the aircraft, the people behind the aircraft, and all the things that went on. So, I compliment you for your spirit and the team spirit and the interaction.
We also have like a specialty day where you fill out these sheets. You can do like a family day and have the whole family in working on the plane. You know,
Oh, really?
any plane, yeah. So you can fill those out online, and it's a free service. You know,
Okay.
go in and work on an actual plane. Learn
Well, as
everything.
I was before we walked in here, I saw them over to PBY. They were talking about drilling some things, and they had
Right.
half a dozen youngsters over there watching that. And I mean, that's real world stuff that
Yeah.
hands-on that they can see that and maybe find an interest in it, or just learn a skill.
Sure, and it's fascinating that way. And you know, one skill will lead into another, you know, and you'll get to talking to somebody about one aspect and a different aspect with somebody else. There's so many exciting stories around here every day.
Yeah, your cup runneth over with stories and opportunities, and once again, I'm so happy to have had the chance to meet so many of your partners and teammates and friends and your family out there. And so thanks for spending time with me, Nate, and I look forward to coming back.
been a pleasure.
I'm gonna come back again and bother you, I'm sure, at
Great.
some point. I look forward to
Interested
getting
to
out
see
here
your
when
work,
when
too.
you put it all together. That's going to be the just to be in the background would be fun to see that. And I know that's got to be a very heartwarming experience for you guys.
Yeah.
Every time you have to let one go, it's probably a little bit of a tear.
It is.
There's a little bit of tear in the eye.
Next thing, you know, this one is just so pretty. We'd love to keep it here, but I mean, it's part of the Leathernecks history.
It's part of the
goes to them,
process.
You know, the Navy decides where it's going, but you know, we're sorry to see it go, but we're so happy that it's going to them.
Yeah, what a great thing. Well, anyway, thanks again. I'm looking forward to speaking with some more folks and looking forward to getting this message out because you guys deserve
And
recognition.
hopefully your next time around, you'll get to meet Frank, who also works in this room
Okay,
too.
well, that's another reason to come back.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks again.
So we're moving our way around like we've been doing all day. I'm getting back over here to the engine. I was going to say motor, but I think it's probably
the
more
engine.
technically
Yep.
considered the engine. And Terry is here with me, and she has been part of the engine, and she's a total gearhead, she says, so she knows all about this stuff. But anyway, Terry, so first of all, how many years have you been participating in this process of volunteering?
I have been here for 12 years, and so 10 of them have been here. 2 of them, I was a docent in the other building,
Oh, okay.
you know, and
So you started over there, and then you said, here's where the real action
I
is.
said I need to be where we can get our hands dirty.
Okay.
You know, so Greg accepted me.
Okay.
So we came over here, and originally we started on the SBD -2.
Okay, and
You
that's
know.
is that the one that's over, or is that?
It's
or
one
is-
in Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in Pearl Harbor. And so Ken and I, who was at that time, he's like 95 years old, kind of told us all, you know, he was like the main guy here. And he took me under his wing. And so because I loved engines, we just started working on tearing apart, you know, the cylinders, you know, the jugs.
Right.
So then we started cleaning them up, and we had to they were so bad that we had to take, you know, blades to go in there and just really scrub all those fins out and get them nice and clean. And then we refinished them. We did the pistons and the rings, and we decided from the last airplane we put together, we didn't put rings on the pistons, but we're going to do it this time.
Okay.
You know, so
Well, I have a total thought. I'll keep going.
yeah. So the thing is that we working here. What I really love is that we all have the same love of aviation, and we want this history to be restored to something that is the right way. We like when we take things apart, like I was talking to yesterday, even about the carburetor, which is back
Up in
behind, and it's in a case. We took it all apart and took all the diaphragms apart, got everything to work in it, and put it back together, and you'll never see it.
Exactly.
I mean, including safety wiring and everything. So
I see.
You know.
That has been, you know, you tipped me off a little bit and kind of started me thinking about that when you said that. Well, it's in a box in there that no one will ever see before, and this is going on here. And by the way, that'll never buy.
You'll never see
I was
it.
thinking, okay. But you know, what you said is what everyone has said. You will know, first of all, and that's probably the most important thing. Second of all, it's putting it back as close to the way it started as possible.
Exactly.
And it's just, you used the term a moment ago, it's the right thing to do.
It is the right thing
And
to do.
so I hear people talk about the right thing, and you have all demonstrated that that is more than just words.
It is. It is. And another thing that we do is even like I teach safety wiring here, and we do all the safety wiring. I mean, things that you won't even see. I mean, we just put that antenna on there, and I'm going to be safety wiring all this stuff. Now, you'll never see that, but again, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I saw you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came by earlier and I said, weren't you around here? And out of nowhere, your head popped up out of the cockpit. So I think they shoved you down in there.
We were trying to screw a bolt in there that you had to
why don't we just
pretzel in.
shove you in there? So you did 2 years over there and 10 here
10
so
here
far? 10 here so far?
Working on my 13th year.
Oh my God. And you said that also before you found your real love here, you were a nurse.
Yes.
So that was what you did in your kind of other life.
Well, I did two things in my other life.
Okay.
When I got out of college, I started working for the phone company as a construction manager.
Oh, wow.
And so I had actually 32 men on my crew.
Okay.
You know, and it was a lot of fun. So I was there for like 25 years until 2000. And then when SBC bought out Ameritech, you know, then I took a buyout. My husband talked me into that. So I took the buyout, but I was bored to death, and we moved up north, up to Alpena, north of Alpena and Presqu'île. And then my neighbor, who was she was a dean of nursing at our local college there, and she said, hey, why don't you come and work for me, you know, writing grants? And I thought, that would be no.
Sounds like exciting work, but no.
Yeah, no. And then she goes, why don't you go to nursing school? And so I said, that sounds interesting. So I was the oldest student. I went to nursing school in my 40s.
Wow.
And then I got my nursing license a couple years later. And then I worked at Alpena Regional Medical Center for 11 years in ICU and cardiac step down.
Holy mackerel, what a change up.
Then
I mean, what a change up. I mean, not only in the career itself, but the commitment to, you know, learning a new career.
yeah, it was a lot of fun, actually. And I'm actually the nurse here.
Well,
the go-to
I
nurse
see there's
here
a
at
first
the
aid kit over there.
Yes.
And I would assume that
it's bigger than the first original
the
one.
one that gives you 6 Band-Aids and
exactly. I think I told you that yesterday.
Yeah, there's a gauze pad in there too.
Yeah.
So you've done all that. You spend a lot of time. I know I was just bothering you. Have family in the area, and you were talking about doing all those mom things that you're still following up, even though
Still
kids
love
are
it.
probably gone or whatever, or in the area. So you're still loving all that, which is really, really cool. And
But I got my pilot's license 35 years ago.
That
Right here at now it's Duncan Aviation, but at the time I went to flight school, it was Cal Aero.
Okay.
And the best story that I love is that right when it took me a couple of years to get my pilot's license. And so after I got my pilot's license, I was working the air show. We used to have air shows here in Kalamazoo over in Cal Aero, which is now Duncan. And I was just standing kind of at the window. We had the Blue Angels were here. We had a room set up for them, you know, snacks, place to rest and everything. And so Suzanne Parrish, who is actually the founder of this museum, she came out with 2 Blue Angels, and I'm standing there, green as could be, you know, brand new license, private pilot. And she goes, I want you to meet Terry Mashanti. She is our newest female pilot. And here's me speechless. Hi.
that's me.
Yeah, I know, like, oh, hi, you know. And I was like, they're like congratulating me in there. And so that was like an honor. And I asked the guys that worked there, I go, how did she know that? You know, and they go, oh, she follows female pilots. You know, at that time, 35 years ago, there wasn't very many.
Right. Well, that's so
it was
man,
kind
what
of cool.
And then the
the Blue Angels came out and they gave me a poster signed by all of them. So I
Okay.
have that.
So you've got
Frame.
it. I mean, you just have the luck of the Irish here with all this stuff going. I mean, well, good, but hard work. I am sure there's plenty of hard work that went into this, and
Yeah.
and
So there is a lot. When we started putting this thing together, of course we have the starter and the 2 magnetos and the generator, to mention a few, and of course the electrical boxes, the oil tank here that holds like 16 gallons of oil, and the oil cooler. Because remember,
That's
this is
cool.
an air-cooled engine.
right.
So we even on this engine put the baffles on, which are leather baffles.
Okay.
And a cool story on the Dash 2 was we got a whole set of brand new ones for this that were built. It's still in the regular package from the 1940s.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so we put those on this plane. But on the Dash 2, our Ken Kelly, our 95-year-old, he said, well, we're going to reuse these. And Tim and I are like, what? We're going to reuse these? And he said, yeah, we're going to soak them because they were hard as rocks. when
Okay,
we
so
took
this is
them
like
off.
leather. You put them in oil or something
Yeah,
like that.
we put them in Needs foot oil, soaked
Yep.
them for like a month, and took them out. They
soaked it
looked
up.
great. Oh my gosh! So we used the original baffles for the Dash 2. So that was kind of cool. Little things like that you learn, which
Oh,
I
yeah,
never
just
would have
look at
thought.
the little, just the detail, the grommeting.
Yeah,
Grommeting around the oil tank you just talked about. I can't
Yeah.
help myself. I see that now. You've got me trained. I want that
channel.
straight.
Yeah.
But and the tubing, you were talking about the electrical tubing and everything yesterday. You gave me a quick sneak peek on some of this, but the just everything.
And we
here
have it
looks
all
brand new.
marked, so it will all hook up on here to the firewall. So we have everything just about ready. We're almost ready to put. We got a few more things to put on here, and then we'll be ready to actually mount this, which was kind of cool because this goes on with 4 bolts. These 4 bolts here
It's amazing.
are,
That's
because
it.
you remember it's a carrier plane. So
Yeah.
if a pilot flew in and he said,
Crap.
hey,
Take
something's
it off.
wrong with, cylinder 1's not firing, they take it off. Boop, boop.
Boom. It was
2.5,
all about
3 hours.
someone
yeah.
over there at the working on the engine where I first saw you that was saying, they had these engines. They really weren't intended to be, okay, let's stop on the flight line and change
No,
the plug.
not at all. They
we
just
would take parts off like that and go work on them somewhere else and
Right.
put a new one on. Let's
get
get going.
ready for the next mission. Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly. So that was kind of cool. I was shocked when I found that out. I went, wait a minute, that
That's-
bolt
that- yeah.
is going to hold this big engine
It's
on
pretty
there?
amazing when you
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah,
we got
when you
four
think about-
4 bolts holding the whole thing,
Yeah.
and just the
Yeah, and then everything else.
simplicity.
Yeah.
But the what I would call it looks I'll say it's simplistic, but so efficient
Mm-hmm.
and well engineered. I mean, people were thinking about all the different things that had to go on in a
And
short
built
period
in
of
the
time.
late 1930s
Exactly.
and 40s, early 40s. I mean,
Right.
that's just the things that we work on and put on this thing. It's just amazing to me.
Well,
like,
we think we're all so great today in the year of 2026, but things that were going on and people just put their spirit together and their hard work and stuff
Exactly.
happened.
right.
It's just totally amazing to me.
Right. And even the inertia starters. I mean, this plane had an inertia starter.
We're going to try that, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good.
We're gonna have you. wind it
I
up.
thought you were going to do it and show me, but if you can train me, I'd like to try
I
that.
am going to train you. Yes, absolutely. Because we got that. We took that apart, got that working. You got the flywheel going. It's pretty cool.
I want to see what that looks like. How do we do that?
Okay, so I want you to picture this.
All right.
You got the pilot and you got the gunner in the back seat. So the pilot has, because of course we have our Holly carburetor,
Right.
which race car uses, up there. And so the pilot is going to prime the top 3 cylinders, right?
Okay.
And so then you got the guy on the ship,
The deck.
that's going to come over, and pilot's going to tell him, let's wind it up. So
Okay.
what we would do. Now we don't really, they wouldn't really use, they would just put this in there, but because we have this tray, so
we have a little
we
device
kind of
there,
built,
like you guys do.
yeah,
You make up
yeah.
stuff that
we made up this.
you make up
to
stuff to make
kinda-
it work.
To make it work, yeah. So there we go. All right, so then, so he would plug this handle in. And it would go forward. So now it's really hard at first. However,
You think I can do it?
I think you can do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to try it, okay?
And you're going to push into that
Yeah,
to
I'm
make
going to push
sure.
into that.
There you go. And if you can hear it.
I got this, guys.
You got that. There you go. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Then you take it out and you give the pilot, hits the magnetos,
Hit it,
starts
Betty,
that
start it.
engine, and boom, there you go.
My God.
Pretty
The
cool.
moment. Hold it. I was just thinking I had this. Thank you.
Use the one that I'll say on the original.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Just getting another job for tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I like about this whole experience. It's just you people are around, and before you know it, if they stand still for a moment, there's something else coming at them.
Yeah. So what'd you think?
I thought
Can
that
you
was
do
good.
that?
I think I could, even though Chuck told me I wasn't going fast enough.
You weren't going fast
I
enough.
wasn't
Yeah.
going fast enough, but I'm
Well,
not
there
sure if he
you
was just
go.
busting me or what. But
Yeah.
Terry, I thank you for sharing your story here.
Well,
it's really
it's my pleasure.
wonderful, and you bring a, like so many of your all your other partners here, a spirit of just happiness, and you're enjoying what you're doing.
I
And
do. I love it here, and I love the guys I work with, and they're so great to work with. They're always willing to share and to give you all kinds of good stuff, knowledge, how to take radial engines apart. I
Right.
mean, a car engine I maybe could work with.
but still, it's just.
But it's really a great place to work. So thank you for coming.
And I
in.
look forward to, we're seeing. I'm going to try to see how this all works. I'd love to come back and see when it's all together, and
We
just
would
be in
love
the
for that.
background and watch you enjoy
Yes.
it, because you've done all the
Yes.
hours and work.
And
you
if
put
you were
into-
here longer, we'd get you into safety wiring.
Yeah, well, I think I'm trainable. Look, I do that.
I know
am
you
train-
are. You do good.
I am trainable.
We got a lot of safety wiring to do here.
I could do this. So thank you again.
Okay, very
And we
good.
look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you again. We're seeing you
Absolutely.
more. Okay.
I know you had to enjoy the father and son team, Nate and his unique skill of always knowing where to get stuff, and Terry, who put the old fly guy to work cranking up the warbird. We have many more stories to share that help define the restoration mission here at the Air Zoo, so stay with us. Thanks for joining us today, and join us in our next Old Fly Guy conversation.